It's the Fairway Times podcast presented by Wild Goat. Somewhere around hole 12, golf turns into a different sport. The body's still there, but the brain is suddenly checking emails, replaying that trip on 7, and wondering what's for dinner. And that's the problem, because most golfers don't lose the round from a bad swing. They lose it when their attention wavers. Some people try and fix that with coffee or an energy drink, which is bold because nothing says commit to this delicate wedge shot like a racing heartbeat and trembling hands. That's where Wild Goat comes in. Their Focus Plus Hydration Gummy was built for golf, not for deadlifts, not for your wife's spin class, and not for people named Chad doing burpees in the parking lot, specifically for golf. It's got alpha GPC and cognizin to help keep your mind sharp, a dialed in amount of caffeine plus L-theanine for smooth, steady energy, and electrolytes to help you stay hydrated and locked in through all 18 holes. So instead of feeling fried by the back nine, you actually feel present, calm, and clear, like a person who might finally make a good decision with a club in their hand. Go to getwildgoat.com and use code FairwayTimes10 for 10% off your entire order. That's getwildgoat.com. And now, before your focus drifts too, let's get into the show.
Waited for years. Many doubted we'd ever see it. But here it is. The return to glory.
This is the Fairway Times. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fairway Times podcast. Happy Tuesday. We are now one day removed from a unbelievable Masters. And so figured for our weekly podcast, we would just break it all down this week and kind of jump into it. So I figured let's just kind of start out by recapping the tournament. So obviously Rory won. And the crowd goes mid. Now, I don't think I'm the biggest fan of Rory, but I can respect what he's done. I mean, this is a guy that really basically shared the lead from start to finish, besides, 3 to 4 holes on Sunday there when he was out of it. I mean, on Thursday, it was all about Sam Burns and Rory as they shared the lead. They both posted a 67 to go 5 under. Burns kind of played earlier in the morning. He had an eagle right off the bat, and it was looking good, right? As a lot of people know, I'm a huge Sam Burns fan, so I was fired up. Fred Couples gave us a fun little bit of drama. He was 2 under through 14 before he quadrupled and doubled back to back, and obviously kind of set him down the leaderboard. And it's just classic Augusta fashion. This course will just kind of break your heart over and over again, and specifically for these older guys that are kind of just having to hit woods and more difficult clubs into these greens. It's just almost impossible for these guys, which is really something to note. A lot of you guys know I was really high on Angel Cabrera just randomly making the cut, and boy, I couldn't have been more wrong about that. It's just when you have to hit more hybrids and, if you have a 9 wood in the bag, it's just very, very difficult to hold these greens and even get anything close. So versus, hitting 6 iron or 7 iron or whatever the big dogs are hitting. So kind of moving into Friday, it was like, this is when Rory, he sees control of the tournament, truly, right? It seemed like he had basically an insurmountable lead after Friday. 6-shot lead headed into the weekend, and it kind of just looked like he had set himself up to kind of just walk into the park on this one. Now, we knew he would probably have to shoot, maybe 2 or 3 under through the next 2 days to hold on. But for a guy of the way Rory was playing, that wasn't a crazy number. Also worth noting, Shane Lowry, just the hole-in-one, absolutely electric. He was playing super good, too, until Sunday. So I think that's just Shane Lowry's a really fun guy to watch in these next 2 months. Not in majors. I'm not sure if his game is there yet. But just in these smaller tournaments, if he is in the field, like, he's showing that his game is kind of trending in a really cool direction. And just everybody loves to cheer for Shane Lowry. He's super fun. Another just quick note, all 6 amateurs in the field missed the cut, shooting all worse than 4 over. Me and Matthew from Under the Covers Golf were very high on Ethan Fang, and it's just Augusta. It's difficult to play here. If you're an amateur, if you've never played here before, it's just a tough, tough ask. And I'm pretty sure no one has made the cut since Neil Shipley. So that would have been 2 years ago. And yeah, so amateurs, not really, in the betting. I put Ethan Fang as the lowest amateur, and just it was just a tough watch for these guys getting around this course. And it was beautiful weather, but the golf course was definitely playing firmer. And yeah, I think it just Augusta, a lot of this comes down to experience, right? So round three, right? Saturday starts, and we're starting to see a group of guys really assemble. And, Rory didn't play his best golf, but he also didn't really lose much. Um, so this group kind of starts to appear out of nowhere of Cam Young, Justin Rose, Tyrell Hatton, and Sam Burns. And the leaderboard kind of was getting crowded quickly. And if Rory would have just probably shot 67 on Saturday, this would have been a whole different conversation. I don't even think this would have ever got close. So I was just the person that really stuck out the most to me that I was impressed with was Tyrell Hatton. I think he's a guy that, with the whole live stuff, he just gets very overlooked. And even I really forgot like how good of golf this guy can play at his peak because everything was crisp. I found myself kind of rooting for him to challenge Rory. It's also a interesting thing, and we'll get into Sunday in a second and specifics. But it's also always feels like guys who are trying to climb back from, let's say, 3 or 4 stroke deficit on Sunday, when you are not in one of those final two groups, it just feels like it's too late. And I don't know how quite to describe it, but it just feels like they're running out of holes too fast. Um, and that's kinda what it felt like with Hatton, right? It was just there just wasn't enough holes. He wasn't close enough in, like, the 2 final groups to really, like, for Rory and those leaders to really feel him. Um, so that was really interesting. Um, Another thing is just, you know, this could be because I'm biased, and literally right before the Masters, I watched Grant Horvat's video with Justin Rose, and Justin Rose's game looked unbelievable. I know it had been filmed a couple weeks before the Masters, but everything in his game just looked crisp. And I had a bet on him to win the tournament, and I got absolute heartbroken. But I just thought he was playing some awesome golf, man. And I am. We'll break it down a little bit as we let's get into Sunday first, and I'll talk about that. So Sunday comes around. Final group is Cam Young and Rory in the final group. Rory doubles almost immediately in the first 3 holes. And it's just kind of looking like, whoa, all of a sudden Rory went from having a 6 stroke lead in this tournament to now he is no longer he's no longer leading. And if you didn't watch Sunday's round, guys, please, like, I'm gonna recap it, this whole thing right now for you, but I encourage you to go back and watch it because it really was a pretty dramatic finish. Um, so, you know, Rory kind of had 2 choices going into this, which is he could go on to become a back-to-back winner, which he did and become an Augusta legend, or it was going to be the person that gave up the largest 36-hole lead in Augusta history, right? Because he had 6 strokes as the biggest lead after 2 rounds in the history of the Masters. So, you know, when I was watching initially, once again, I am not a Rory McIlroy fan at all. I think some of the things he says and does just come off so bad. So I was kind of rooting for anybody but Rory. But I also didn't think that watching Cam Young's game, he was at his peak. When Cam Young is really, really cooking, I feel like the putter gains momentum over the course of the round, and I never felt like he was gaining momentum on the greens. It was things kind of kept burning edges, lipping out for him, and it just never really felt like, even when he was in the lead, to me, that Cam Young was going to win. So now Rory is tied for third. And all of a sudden, Justin Rose is coming out of absolutely nowhere. And he just takes the lead outright, playing just an unbelievable front nine. One of probably the best front nines in Augusta history. I would have to go look at the actual history books, but it felt like Rose could not hit a bad shot. And the putter was absolutely rolling. Shout out to Scotty Cameron with the claw grip. I just think that's a cool combo. That's what I play. So very easy for me to root for Jay Rose there. Unfortunately, it just is the place that Jay Rose is going to have nightmares about. I mean, Rose goes on to bogey 11, 12, and 17, which then just kind of put the nail in the coffin, doomed himself. And after those three bogeys, he still shot 70, right? This is his fifth top five finish at Augusta and his third runner up at the Masters. I feel so bad for Justin Rose. He deserved better. I thought the golf gods were going to come through for him, if there's a such thing. It was just so freaking sad to watch him slowly collapse because it felt poetic that Rory had taken him to the playoff last year and he had lost. And this was his year to come back. All of a sudden, he makes this surge. And, me and some of my buddies are in a group chat. We're calling each other on the phone. It's Jay Rose's year, right? The other storyline that we haven't even talked about yet on Sunday is Scotty Scheffler. Scotty Scheffler comes absolutely out of nowhere to basically claim an outright second place. And if it wasn't for one putt that kind of lipped out, him and Rory would have been in a playoff together, which would have been absolute cinema. So I just, for Scotty, at the end of the day, man, he looked like on Saturday and Sunday the best player in the field, as he normally does. But with Scheffler, the Thursday and Friday, it just has to get cleaned up. The early tournament woos this year. They just have to get cleaned up because I'm just in this position that I feel like if Scotty Scheffler can figure out a way to even shoot 1, 2, or 3 under in the first 2 days, he is going to go back to running away with golf tournaments again. So I think his game is in full form, and I think we are going to see another major out of him this year. And I will predict that. I don't know which one, but we will see another major out of him. It would be pretty cool to see him win at Shinnecock. So let's talk Rory. So Rory rode birdies at 12 and 13 to go back to 13 under. And Scheffler is at 11 under. Rose is at 10 under. And Cam Young is also at 10 under. So we're coming down the final stretch. And once again, all my buddies and I are going crazy. Somebody just has to get to 12. Somebody has to get to 12 because Rory, it looked okay, but it just didn't look dominating. And we were all talking about like, Augusta is just so hard. A bogey will come here. And if somebody could just get to 12, they were going to have a chance. And honestly, they almost had a chance. Scheffler almost had a chance at 11 under. So Rory steps up on the 18th tee. Just a difficult tee shot for Rory, who hits draws, right? It's more of either you're going to go drive it in the left rough as a draw guy, or you're going to try to hit a fade, which Rory McIlroy, as one of the best players in the world, he definitely has the ability to hit the fade off the tee. But on this one, he just didn't really have to do it a lot throughout the tournament. Overcooks it, goes way right into the trees. I was beyond disappointed with the Masters and Augusta's camera work. I mean, it absolutely sucked. We couldn't even tell where Rory's ball had landed for like literally 5 minutes because they were cutting to other people and like other things happening, which is crazy considering the final group was on 18. Like they could not find Rory's ball, at least the cameraman. So we see he's basically off in the right hand area of the right rough, which actually went to his advantage, right? Because if he was anywhere in the middle, he was pretty much screwed. So him being a draw bias player and he's all the way on the right side, he just has to hit this massive draw. Um, in, of course, Rory fashion, he's like calling over Augusta rules officials, like really backing the crowd up, who are nowhere even in range of him, but he's just being Rory and doing his normal. But to Rory's credit, he hit it. He stepped up and hit a heck of a shot, kind of out of the pine straw. And it was a really, really difficult shot. Did not land on the green, but he went in the bunker, which we also did not get to see. The broadcast is just like panning around and we can't see his golf ball. We're all figuring that it's in the bunker. My buddies and I are all texting like, is he plugged because he had to hit this ball so high over the trees out of the rough? Is he plugged? Is he plugged? And we still, right now, even now, I can't find the footage. Like, I don't know where the ball landed. I don't know if it landed kind of in the top of the bunker and rolled down. I don't know if it just kind of sat up for him because it wasn't a completely perfect line in the sand, but in no means was it bad. So that was really interesting. But it was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure in the moment, and Rory looked very, very stressed. Cam Young off in the left rough also ends up. For a while we thought that Cam Young was also in the bunker, but I guess he was just like a little bit off to the left. Once again, cameras just need some work. I can't emphasize enough. We it's like we were watching golf without seeing where the ball went. It was horrible. Um, But so Rory ends up not getting up and down for par and taps in for bogey to finish at 12 under and go back to back. So I want to dive into a little bit. What does this mean for Rory McIlroy's overall position in golf, right? So that puts him at his sixth major, which that group in itself is pretty elite. If he can get to 7, we are talking about the legends of the game, right? People like Sir Nick Faldo, excuse me, Tom Watson. I mean, just historic figures. Jack Nicklaus, obviously he has way more, but I'm saying that people that have 7 or more, he will cement his legacy as a quote unquote golf god. So what this did do though, is I think this probably put him as the best European golfer to ever live. The only other person that I would say potentially has that is Sir Nick Faldo. I don't think Ian Poulter is anywhere close. So I think that pretty much cements his legacy. Pretty cool that he's also the second European golfer with Nick Faldo to get back to back at Augusta. So the list is Tiger, Nick Faldo, Rory, and Jack Nicklaus to ever win it back to back. Very, very cool for him. Obviously, nobody else is going to put the green jacket on Rory because he can't put it on himself. So that was a cool moment. A couple just reactions to like the final of him actually putting the ball in the hole. We didn't see the ball go in, do the camera work. I'll bring it up again. It was terrible and needs to get fixed. But the other thing is just, I'm trying so hard, guys, to like Rory McIlroy. I am. It's just the things he does just bother me. Like he gets off the green at Augusta and like we've seen so many times guys that are just class acts waiting for their caddy, putting their arm around their caddy. We did this together. And of course Rory doesn't do that. Also, just a side note, who were all the frat dudes that Rory was hugging? I don't know if those were like his family members, but all of a sudden Rory's over the ropes. He hugs his daughter. He kisses his wife, who may or may not be his wife anymore. Nobody really knows what's going on in that situation, whatever. And then he starts like dapping up all these frat dudes. It was like the weirdest thing. And I was like, you have to have other people that are like, maybe that's his family, I guess, but it just seemed like a ton of, it's like he literally walked up to Ole Miss and was just like brought the frattiest dudes over into his corner and was like, let's dap up like after I win. It was so strange. He then makes the walk up and he's like literally like hugging every, whatever, Augusta member and anybody that's ever won there, which I guess is nice. Um, it just didn't give me a great feeling, unfortunately. I wanted to feel a different way. I truly did. And I want to emphasize that. Like, I really, really wanted to feel something different. I just couldn't. And I'm just not a fan of this guy. I'm sorry. Every time I go to a golf tournament, guys like Tommy Fleetwood are high fiving everybody and just in a good mood to see the people that are there supporting them. And Rory McIlroy is walking around with a blank stare on his face, not giving anybody the time of day because he is better than all of this. He is bigger than the PGA Tour. And, I kind of wrote in my article today on fwytimes.com, or excuse me, that was released yesterday, that it's just like this guy gets more coverage if he misses a cut than guys that are playing in the top 3 or 4. And it's just hard to see. And I understand that the PGA Tour, this is their golden boy. This is the guy that basically stood up against Liv, even though they then hung him out to dry. But yeah, but I also just want to note, good for him. I mean, I respect everything that he's done in this sport, and can't say much more about him. So just some fun notes from Sunday. Haitong Lee, briefly a contender, made a triple bogey on 12 and then a quintuple bogey 10, right? Literally quintuple on a par 5, 13th, which is just like, it was just so hard to watch. Like, this guy was just hitting out of bushes. A very interesting thing, which I would love to ask, is like, why did you not just take an unplayable? Why were you trying to like hit it out of bushes? Um, or I don't know, like, why were you even looking for your ball? I know there's spotters there, but I can't think that the spotters were finding the balls like in these bushes. It seemed like the time it was taking, he was literally like looking for it. And also, like, just it was a bummer because that caused Scotty Scheffler was paired with him, and it just slowed down Scotty's momentum so much. So that was a big bummer. Sergio Garcia just snapped his driver on 2, like after hitting a bad, I guess, T-ball, which it really wasn't that bad. It was like ended up in a bunker, but he just starts slamming the ground with his driver until he breaks it. And then on the same hole, weirdly, is just like carrying John Rahm's bag, which was super weird and I didn't really understand it. So if anybody, please leave comments on Spotify or YouTube, like if you like, what was that? Does anybody understand what was happening there? And a Augusta, I don't know if it was, somebody high up at Augusta actually came and gave him a warning, which is hilarious because if you know anything about Augusta, right, as soon as you win the Masters, you are literally an honorary member and you can play until you're dead. Like, if somebody's in a walker and they're 95 years old and they want to play in the Masters and they already won, they have to let you play. And so it's like Sergio's just playing with house money because he's like, what are you going to do? Not let me play next year? Like, I already won this thing. So I thought that was super funny. But yeah, before I get into some more takes, guys, this episode is brought to you by the Fairway Times, your go-to golf media website with articles covering every corner of the game, from the PGA Tour to the latest in equipment. Just a side note, guys, tomorrow we are coming out with a What's in Rory McIlroy's Bag. So make sure to go subscribe today using the link in the show notes, and you'll receive a free mental performance golf guide delivered straight to your inbox, guaranteed to have you shooting lower scores in no time. Once again, guys, that is fwytimes.com. All right, some more just overall takes I had about the Masters. I thought that Friday and Saturday were just kind of slow. It was kind of a bummer to see Rory take such a big lead and nobody play as well as him, because I think a lot of people that I talk to in just a lot of different corners, like, just completely tuned out because Rory was so far ahead. The other thing that I really, really struggle with the Masters is we get all this cool stuff like, oh, we can see every single ball that is hit on the driving range. We can see the TrackMan numbers, like all this different stuff. But then I'm trying to watch these different broadcasts because like different broadcasts start at different times. Then I'm watching the live feature on the Masters app on my TV. And it's just like, can we just standardize this? Like, unless you, excuse me, unless you want to watch something different than the main broadcast where they show everybody, and then maybe when the final group tees off on Sunday, they focus on the final group, but still show us blips of other people. Unless you want to watch something completely different, why cannot that just not be the main thing? Like, why do I have to work so hard to find a broadcast that I like? The other bone I have a pick is like I have YouTube TV. There's 3 different channels that have the Masters and none of them are covering the Masters. It's like live on Golf Channel with like 2 random people that I don't know just like talking about the Masters. Like they're literally playing live and I'm watching 2 guys talk about the day before. It's just kind of stupid, and I don't understand that. So I think we need to figure that out. The other thing that I just kind of, I guess the thing we need to talk about is the practice round situation. So for those of you that don't know, Rory McIlroy came out in a press conference and said that he would go drop his daughter off at school, take his private jet, fly to Augusta, play a practice round, and then fly back and be home in time for dinner. Which this raises a really interesting question, which is like, does Scotty Scheffler do this and not talk about it? Does Scotty Scheffler go practice 4 to 5 times at Augusta before the round? Is Rory the only person that does this? From the research I can find online, Rory can't just go play Augusta on his own. Because he is an honorary member, he has to play with a member. And he cannot bring a guest as an honorary member. So, I mean, I guess if he played this 5 times, like, of course he's going to have an advantage over the field. And he's just showing up to Augusta all the time and just playing like one of his home golf courses in his rotation. It just begs the question, like, should this be allowed? And I guess if you win the Masters, you should be able to do whatever you want. But it also kind of pisses me off because one of the biggest bones I've had to pick with Augusta is if you win the Masters, you should just be a member forever. Like, you should have to pay the membership dues, which nobody that ever won the Masters would have a problem paying the membership dues. But you should be a member and be able to bring a guest if you want. It's absolutely ridiculous that they do this honorary member BS because if somebody like Rory McIlroy or Scotty Scheffler or Tiger Woods, if that's not a true member, then who are these people that are members? Who are they? People are saying, oh, they're billionaires. Oh, they're the original people from Augusta. I don't really know, nor do I really care. But I know that like at other super exclusive country clubs, like if we're talking about like Medalist, right, in Jupiter, I know, I understand that that is a PGA Tour training hub, but it's not so exclusive that guys can't be members. Out at MJ's course, out at the Grove, that's one of the most exclusive clubs in the world. All those tour guys can be members, right? At Riviera, there are tour players that are members. But Augusta is just like, and it's just like, so it makes me wonder on a daily basis today, right? On Tuesday, are there guys out playing Augusta right now that shoot 95 that are just grandfathered in? Like, I want to know what this looks like. I want to know just what's happening out there on a daily basis. So that's just a really interesting thought experiment for us to kind of go through on this podcast and to kind of just keep thinking about. Rory McIlroy earned $4.5 million, guys, which is pretty dang cool. Good for him. This was a record-setting total purse of $22.5 million, and he got 750 FedEx Cup points. I want to bring up the question, and I know Scotty got second. So it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation, but does and should Rory McIlroy now be the number one player in the world? So right now I'm going to go look on world golf rankings and see what is official world rankings. So as of right now, Scotty Scheffler's total points, he has 651 total points. As of right now, this is through the Masters tournament. It says as of April 12th. So it looks like they updated this last night. So Rory McIlroy is still a little under 200 points behind him, which it just feels like unfathomable, right? The rest of the list right now: Cam Young at 3, Justin Rose at 4, Tommy Fleetwood at 5, Russell Henley at 6, Fitzy at 7, Morikawa at 8, Xander at 9, JJ Spawn at 10, Chris Goddard at 11. Russell Henley, excellent showing on Sunday. We didn't really talk about him. Guy tied for third. Just to be clear, final leaderboard: Rory first, Scheffler outright second, and at 10 we had Tyrell Hatton, we had Russell Henley, we had Justin Rose, and we had Cam Young, with Morikawa, Burns tied at 9 under. And then I want to give a big shout out to Max Homa because he played his butt off, shot 67 on Sunday. Just super duper impressive by him. So in all reality, guys, Rory McIlroy won this golf tournament in the second round when he shot 65, which is extremely impressive. Scheffler ended up shooting 68 in round 4. I'm just looking for low rounds here. Tyrell Hatton shot 66. Let's see if anybody else really went super low. Rick McNeely shot a 67. Victor Hovland, we didn't talk about Victor Hovland. He was on track to shoot an Augusta low round record, but unfortunately had a double there that derailed his day. Keegan Bradley made some money, shooting up from almost not making the cut to T21 by shooting 66 in round 4. And we had a 66 from Gary Woodland. Unfortunately, I had him to his Saturday round really derailed him. For a lot of you that follow this podcast and on social media, you guys know I had Gary Woodland top 20. I loved the way he was playing, and he just didn't quite have enough juice from the 75, 76 on Friday, Saturday, but he did shoot 66 on Sunday. So that kind of rounds out the Masters, guys. Looking kind of ahead, we have the team event coming up and the PGA Tour. And I believe, what is it called this year? I think it's still the RBC Heritage, but I just want to confirm next week. Yes. So that is kind of what's ahead. RBC Heritage at the Harbortown Golf Links with a $20 million purse. We have the Miami Championship, the Myrtle Beach at Dunes, and then we have the Truist, which will be fun at Quail Hollow. Obviously, our next major is the PGA Championship at the Araminik. I never know how to say that golf club, so we'll be covering that as well. And then, guys, as this kind of next couple weeks, right, we're going to slow down a little bit, not in terms of coming out with the podcast, but just of golf, right? A lot of people have been requesting me to cover some baseball. We're coming into NBA playoffs. And as we kind of progress throughout the summer, we'll touch briefly on some football training camp stuff. So I am super excited about that. And we are going to keep coming out with articles, guys. Even when it gets slow, fwytimes.com. We have a lot of amazing categories as well I'd like to plug. So for those of you that don't know, right, I write articles every week on different topics. So lately it's been a lot of PGA Tour coverage with Augusta. But now that that's over, right, we have professional golf. We have the equipment category where we cover a lot of cool stuff of what's in the bags, just a lot of cool things, new equipment that's coming out. We have golf performance, which is me covering sport and performance psychology, talking to people about golf fitness, just everything to improve your game. We have the YouTube rabbit hole, which is a really cool category that I like that I'm going to start writing about more again, which is all of us are on YouTube trying to improve our golf games. But what videos are actually worth going down the rabbit hole with and going to provide us really good information? So, super excited about that. We have golf courses. Every time I play a new golf course that I really love, I come out with a feature on it. So, go check out that category. My own golf journey, where my own game is, so you can follow along with that. And you are probably experiencing the exact same problems that I experience in my own golf game, so kind of excited to take you along that journey. I haven't been getting able to play the last couple weeks as much as I want, just because this has taken up so much of my time. But we're going to start trying to play a little more. My craziest marketplace finds of the week. This is a category where I search the entire country on Facebook Marketplace for just the most insane golf finds, and we write about it. And then par for the wrist. For a lot of you that know me really well, you know that I'm a watch collector, and I just love featuring new watches. I love finding micro brands. So it's just a really cool category if you're also a watch guy. And a lot of times they're related to golf, right? Like we covered Scotty Scheffler's Hulk when he won the Masters, and really like what that looked like, and how it matched the green of his jacket, and just super cool, unique things. So we're trying to find categories for that. Um, if you guys too, as well, in our pro shop right now, there's some cool items, which is I created a golf course management guide, guys, which getting around the golf course and really learning when to hit the risky shot, when to hit the safe shot, what certain types of rough do to the ball. I wrote about all that, and you can just go buy a digital copy, guys. I spent a ton of time on this. I spent months coming out with this. So I think it's an amazing asset, and we've sold a decent amount of these, guys, but I want to get this out to more people. If you want a coupon code, guys, just email me. Just email me. I want to give you guys good deals on it, right? It's $29.99 right now up in our pro shop on fwytimes.com. But just send me an email anytime to fwytimes@gmail.com. And if you can't afford it, guys, I will give you a coupon code. No problem at all. That pretty much wraps up our Masters recap, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next week. We're going to cover some fun new topics next week. We'll recap a little bit what happens at Harbor Town, but we'll also be focusing on some other stuff. So thank you so much, guys, and have a great rest of your week.
Like to hit bombs.
I do.
That is,
There's a lot more to winning than just, hitting bombs.
You saw him dropping all kinds of bombs off the tee. I mean, just hellacious bombs.
I have to have the ability to hit bombs. We talk about it. You got to hit it long out here. Hit bombs. Todd, when I stop hitting bombs, I'll play the Champions Tour, but I'm hitting some crazy bombs.
Thanks so much for listening, everybody. Remember to hit bombs, and I will see you next time.